driving me crazy just looking at it. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. Without you, driving me crazy just looking at it. Driving me crazy just looking at it. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. You do this thing when I'm talking to you, like everything freezes and it's just you. You do this thing when I'm talking to you, like everything freezes and it's just you. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. Give it to me like world without you. Just looking at it. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live without you.
Oh, wrong button there, by me. Sorry about that. Right, good afternoon, people. Hope everyone's good. Random as ever, I know. Well, looks like we've got a bit of extra news possibly coming through, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, Elly, how you doing?
I'm really good. Thank you for inviting me on. I really
That's
appreciate
all right.
that.
It's
I
always a
love
pleasure.
your show, Dan, as you know, and the music is spot on, mate.
I'm glad you
Flipping
like it.
brilliant. Lovely. I love that type of music.
So, how you been anyway? All good?
Yeah, all good. And I'm excited to see who else we're bringing in. We've got rumours, haven't we, sparking around?
Well, I'm starting to, must admit, I'm definitely starting to get interested, that's for sure. So I'm
Yeah.
going to say hello to a couple of people on the side. Forgive the
Yeah.
clicking in the background. This is where I'm just having a part. We're using a bloody laptop without a bloody mouse at the moment. And next week, on about Wednesday, I will be back home. So Dave, big up to you, mate. Hope everything's good with you. Hope you had a fun day at work. I know you always enjoy it. And Simon Hill, Gibbs White, here we go. Has it really gone that far? I mean, I'll go to that in a minute. I know the bid is in there. We're meant to be having a serious look at it, but I don't know if the job's done yet. I'll check that up in a minute. And Airborne, we have Gibbs. We shall see. Big up to you. And Rob, are we entertaining the new era? Has the stadium build a promise being finally kept? People, I wouldn't get too excited just yet. This is Daniel Levy dealing with it after all. And we do know he loves to get people excited and then drop them off the edge of a cliff, basically. So I wouldn't get too excited just yet. Mark, how we doing, mate? Big up, good, nice, and Elly. Big up to you, mate. Hope everything's good. We are Tony, top man. How we doing? Big up, Dan and guest. Sue Smith. How we doing? Hope you're feeling better. After last time I speak to you, you weren't feeling too great, so I hope you're feeling significantly better now. Ryan, big up Elliot. Dan, big up to you too. Henry as well. What is going on with Levy? Well, I suppose time will tell with that one. And What's Costa saying here? Romano breaking Morgan Gibbs White to Tottenham. Here we go. Spurs trigger 60 million release clause after direct contact with Forest today. Medical booked to take place in 24.
Bloody hell.
Well, I'm going to have a look at that in a minute while we're doing that. And big up Sue as Levy robbed the bank. And Rob also saying here, new investor. Timing says investor was waiting for an assurance of Romero staying. Who knows? I'm not sure whether he's going to stay or not either, because Real Madrid are meant to have started seriously sniffing around him now as well, from a couple of things I've been reading. And Simon Hill, big up to you, mate. Defo, there is an investment in. It's definitely looked like it, isn't it? And oh wow, the medical has been booked already. Well, I will be checking that up. And Brian, I hope you're doing well for yourself, mate. Scott as well, same with you. Big up to you and all the boys. Right, Elly.
Yeah.
Before I go into the other one, I don't think no one's heard your opinion yet. So before we get to the news of the newsers now, you happy with the signing of Kudus? The reason I bring that up is because no one's heard your side of it. So go on, give us your side of that one quickly.
Oh, yeah. I love him. I think he's a fantastic player. He's been playing in a very underwhelming West Ham side, but he's still shone. You know, when you get a player, right, who can still shine when the club are on the decline, right, and they won the Conference League, yeah, but they blew out the league. They finished 16th, I finished that season. I think they finished, sorry. And last season he had a bit of a dip, but so did their team. They weren't cooking, but he was still doing his stuff. But they haven't got many other finishers apart from Bowen. So he was creating, because I watched a lot of West Ham games. And do you know what I like best is the West Ham fan meltdown. Flipping hell. It's all over the shop, isn't it? It's like World War III started.
Yeah, but we'd be having a meltdown on the other side as well, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we would, because I said there's a pecking order in football, right?
Oh, there always is. We know that.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes you can jump it a little bit if you're willing to throw that extra bit of money about, depending on whether the player comes to you or not. But that
I totally agree.
To get you somewhere. Well, where's
But
something?
I do like the player.
Finish what you were saying.
I do like the player because he's got the best dribbling stats. And I was watching some highlight reels, right? But I've seen him play on TV because I always watch a lot of matches. I don't just watch Spurs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, priority is Spurs because that's our club. But I've been watching him and I like what I see, Dan. He's got good first touch. He's got acceleration. He's powerful. He's a fantastic dribbler.
And seems like a bit of an old school winger in a way, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, how many wingers these days do you see have a bit of power and a bit of flair in him? He's got a bit of flair, isn't he?
Yeah, and I like the Maverick side of him as well.
That's what I mean. He's got a bit of flair to him, whereas a lot of wingers don't have that these days, where they always used to, didn't they?
Yeah, and that's what I like because it takes you back to old school wingers, right? But you know what? He can cut inside as well, you know, because he's got the ability to run from midfield onto that wing and then cross a decent ball, right? But I think he's very good at getting on the end of things as well. I know it doesn't show on his stats, but the thing is, he gets in the right areas at the right time, all right? But sometimes you just can't finish your dinner, right? And your stats don't, add up. But look at Dembele. I know Dembele's a central defensive midfielder, but he reminds me of him because he's strong and powerful. He hardly loses the ball because he's such a good dribbler. I'm very excited to see where he can step up with Frank's help as well because they've been liaising.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, look, Elly, let's just get straight to the point then.
Yeah, I know.
Message I've just been sent is basically he's got his medical and it's done.
Bloody hell. Spurs are moving. They were moving like snails and now they're moving like the hare at the greyhound track.
I know.
You know?
It's just mad, isn't it? Up until yesterday, it's like I said it to Savva this morning. Up until day before yesterday, you said, how are Spurs doing? Same Spurs, different day. Same shit, different day, basically. All of a sudden, bang, bang.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to see off the club.
I know.
I mean, what do you think on Morgan Gibbs White anyway? And what do you think on him as a player?
another really, really brilliant player who's competent on the ball, hardly loses it, good at driving with the ball from midfield, fantastic at getting in the right areas as well, right? And I think we're going to have a fantastic forward line now, right? All we have to do, I reckon they're going after Vissa as well. So we need a little fox in the box to finish those things off, because Johnson, he can do it as well, like as a false nine or an inside forward. But his ball skills are not up to it. So, but Morgan Gibbs White, his ball skills are up to it. And I like him. I think he's another player that will bring that je ne sais quoi to our attack. You know, I love him. I think he's a brilliant player. And we've been after him for some time now. You know, we've been after him for quite a few years, but we've never ever been able to persuade him to come. But now we've got Champions League football. It's a little teaser for these players because they got ambition as well, you know. And he's got Conference League with Forest, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I've said before. I mean, I do feel with certain players that 17th place would hold us back, but I did also feel with other players that Champions League will attract them.
Yeah.
Players like this in the aspect of they haven't played Champions League.
I know.
I mean, he's 25 now. He's never played Champions League. Kudos has played Champions League, but he definitely weren't going to get it with West Ham ever. And
Any West Ham fans,
it does have that attraction. I mean, with Morgan Gibbs White, again, I'll be honest with this one. 60 million, I think that's a bit much, but it's not my money, so what do I care? Yeah. My question is on it is personally, I think we could go out and do better. I think we could go out in Europe and spend 60 million and get a better player.
I'll get you.
I mean, I think he's good. I think he's a good player, but I'm not going to sit here and get overexcited that he's an excellent player. He's the sort of player we should be going for. I get it. But for 60 mil on that, do you think if we had a look in Europe, we could do better than that for 60 mil? Or are we paying 25% English tax, and because he also matches everything that we need at the moment with being an English player, homegrown and everything else in that?
I really do get you, Dan. But I'm gonna caveat that as well, because I'm thinking, right, a lot of foreign players come and they succeed, but an awful lot don't, right? And there's the difference. There's the difference in climate. You know, when it's pissing down with rain, it's freezing cold. You know, he's been through it all, Morgan Gibbs White. He's played through the snow. He's played through the rain. He's played through the sun. You know, and he's an experienced lad. And he's got a good head on his shoulders. Whenever I see him interviewed, I think I like the boy. You know, he's level-headed, and he's got he's proven, right? Because Forest were right up there, right? They were right up there, Dan. They were like third, second, fourth. Then they started to taper off, which everybody expected anyway. But yes, I agree with you that we can get better, but are we taking a punt on someone that might not make it? You know, whereas with Morgan Gibbs White, I think he's proven. He's a proven player. You
see what? I see where you're coming from. And I do think he is a good player. And I'm not going to say no to having him at Spurs. I'm definitely happy to get him. But I must admit, for 60 million, I do think we could have looked elsewhere and got something better. But there's the other side of it as well, where he comes with all the ticks we need. He's got Premier League experience. He's been here for long enough. He's English, homegrown as far as I know, and everything and that. He sort of ticks all the other boxes we need as well, innit?
Yeah.
If we basically go out and get what's his name from Southampton?
Oh, Diblin.
No. The one that used to be with us, Kyle Walker-Peters.
Oh, yeah.
And get him on a freebie. He also adds to that list of ours, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And with that, it all sort of falls into place because we are definitely lacking them sort of players at the moment. Yeah. So I can totally understand why I've gone for him. I mean, as far as I know, 60 mil was his sellout clause.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to pay it in chunks, you had to pay about 65, 70. They wanted the extra money for it, basically, which is more of what I would have seen Spurs doing. But I must admit, I'm shocked with this. I didn't see this one coming up out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm sort of semi-shocked because I knew we were like hyping the player and we wanted to get him quite a few years ago, and we've always been, but we've never quite gone for it, you know. And I'm sort of half and half, 50-50. But on the player himself, I'm about 75% happy because I think there's faults in his game as well, but what he lacks in certain areas, he makes up for when he drives with the ball. He's really good, you know, and he's tenacious as well. He'll get around the pitch a lot. He's a bit like, do you know what he reminds me of in terms of getting around the pitch? He's Conor Gallagher, but he's just got that extra bit of class that Conor Gallagher.
Okay, like he's more skillful than Gallagher, but Gallagher's a bit more aggressive and a bit more butch, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, like Rob says it here, perfect. Morgan Gibbs-White is definitely a Frank type. I can see that as well. He obviously wanted him, so that's what matters at the end of the day. Very true. It's obvious that investments have been made into Spurs. 2 deals in 2 days, never been heard of before. And no, it hasn't. I mean, it's definitely got me wondering, though, is what formation are we actually going to use with Frank? What formation are we going to use with a fella? It's definitely got me thinking about it because I keep swapping from 3 at the back, 4 at the back, everything else. And I'm just like, I don't know what formation he's going to use because are we going to use 2 behind the strikers, like play a 3-4-2-1, which is how I would play personally. Yeah. But is it going to be other ways that we do it? Whose place is he going to take? Because I doubt he's going to play centre mid. He's more of an attacking midfield central playmaker sort of thing, all in one sort of thing, isn't he? Yeah. And is that to take Maddison's place, or is that to give Maddison a run for his money, or to play alongside him? What's happening?
I know. Do you know what? We need strength in depth, right? Because we know Maddison's prone to injury. You know, he's a very slight boy. He's not built. And one little knock and he's down, isn't he? So we do need cover for him anyway. But I think Morgan Gibbs-White is a slightly different player. He's not like a creative spark like Maddison. So he's a different type of player. He'll pick up the ball and run with the ball. He'll drive at defences, you know, and he'll get it stuck. He does get stuck in, but he's not like overly stuck in. You know what I mean? That's not part of his game. His game is to drive forward with the ball and do 1-2s here and there and get in the box and score, right? Do you know his goal record for the last few seasons? Because I haven't.
For last season, when I looked at it, if I remember right, he played. What I got written here? He played 34 games.
Yeah.
7 goals, not great, and
great.
10 goal assists, not bad. I suppose it depends what you want him playing as. Now, if that's a playmaker, I'm not happy with that. He's not an out-and-out playmaker, is he?
No, he's not.
He's more of an attacking midfield central, I'd say, because he doesn't really play centre mid.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think he can play as a playmaker, and I think he's definitely a better option for doing that than Kulusevski as a playmaker. He's got a bit more skill on him as such.
Definitely.
But neither of them basically touch Maddison for that sort of job. So what are we going to do? Where's this going to go? What formation are we going to use? I mean, to me, I'm now sort of thinking, I mean, I'll get with the depth side and everything. We want as much depth as we can get, but I'm sort of just trying to work out the formation he's going to use to try and get all of these players in the team, and who does he actually want to get rid of?
I know. It's going to be a weird one, isn't it? So I think do you know what? I think he might play 3-5-2. You know that? Because if he's getting those type of players, you've got to have width, right? So it's probably going to be Porro, Udogie and one centre-back. But then does that leave you open? I reckon I'll change my mind now. I think 3-4-2-1. I think that would be the formation because he does play that a lot at Brentford. But
that's what I think with what we got now would look like a good one in that aspect. But then is he going to have Kudus coming back that deep as a right winger? Usually, like Kudus is usually one for a 4-2-3-1 up on the side, isn't he? Not an actual right midfielder as such.
No,
for me, it wouldn't make sense with him.
He's more of a winger but he can play midfield as well. So it's good to have versatility in players.
Oh, it's good to have the options for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, but do you know what? I really hope that we go for Damsgaard as well, because he was fabulous last season, right? And Frank made him into a monster midfielder. He was everywhere. And like he's so creative as well, and he's brilliant on the ball. And I think we need another one like a Maddison, in case Maddison goes down, because none of the players we bought cover for Maddison.
I think that's what Morgan Gibbs White can do. He can cover for Maddison, but he definitely ain't the same sort of playmaker as Maddison, is he?
No,
he's not that. He's not as good as Maddison at that job, not at all. Same as Kulusevski can cover it, but he's nowhere near good enough for that job as such, is he?
Yeah. Or the other midfielder that's really good. Well, there's many, but there's what's the boy from the one we're after? Xavi Simons, is it? Is he a winger or a midfielder?
Oh, Xavi Simons. As far as Xavi Simons, however you say his bloody name, I mean, I'm terrible at saying
I think it's Xavi
names and that.
Simons.
Yeah, the one who plays in Germany, yeah?
Yeah.
The Dutch fella. Yeah, I think he plays on the right. I'm not 100% sure.
Does he play on the wing?
Well, yeah, he does. He plays on the wing. I can't remember whether he plays left, right, or covers both sort of thing and that.
No,
we're definitely giving ourselves some better options, aren't we?
Yeah. But I think Damsgaard would be a fantastic addition, because you know what Maddison's like. He gets one kick and he's down and he's out for 4, 5, 6 weeks. You know?
I mean, he can be a little bitch on the pitch, can't he? Like, takes his little kick in the leg and gets moody. I mean, brilliant that we're giving ourselves options here, without a doubt. Yeah. And I mean, I must admit, I did not. I mean, I can tell you someone for a fact, someone wherever he is, Brian must be going into complete and utter meltdown at the moment.
He loves Morgan Gibbs White.
Yeah, I know, and he also loved Thomas Frank as well. He was even saying about him last year how he'd love to have him as Spurs manager. Then he's just gone and got Morgan Gibbs White as well.
Him and Sava. They could have a seance together. Sorry, Sava, if you're watching.
I doubt it. He's probably got his own one going right now. I tried to do this one to sort of like push it out of the way and get in between of a couple of shows, and then all of a sudden this happened. You're just like, for God's sake, give me 5 minutes breathing space where we are. And then every other bloody channel comes on. It's hard to get in there sometimes. But I mean, I just didn't see this one coming a mile off. I didn't hear nothing about it. There was no news about it. Nothing was going on. I very much doubt this started today as such.
No, I think they've been.
I mean, what do you reckon? You reckon this has been going on in the background for a bit?
Yeah, because our club, I think we're the most private club in the world. We don't know what the hell is going on, right? And then suddenly, out of the blue, Morgan Gibbs White. And you think, what? Because I said to my husband, oh my God, we've just signed Morgan Gibbs White out of the blue. No hindering. Do you know what I think they do? I think this is a bit of Paratici, whatever you want to call him.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. It's like he seems to come back all of a sudden. We move, don't we? All of a sudden we move like men and not boys anymore. All of a sudden,
yeah. And then there's rumours that we're after Vissa as well. That Wissa, sorry, not Vissa, because I think
he's already on We Are Tottenham TV. Sorry, I was just answering a question there. Go on, Elly.
Yeah, Wissa, I would love as well, because we need that sort of striker, because Solanke ain't doing it. Right, we need a nippy little bloke in the middle, right, to support Solanke, who's better than Johnson, right? And then Johnson can come on as a super sub or just play the league and the FA Cup games. That's all I'm giving him, because even though he can score, Wissa is a better finisher, and he's such a hard-working player as well.
I agree, but I don't think he matches. He matches the age sort of thing that Spurs look at.
I know.
I don't think he matches Levy's plan of wanting younger players as such. Whereas you look at Kudus, you look at Morgan Gibbs White, they're still younger players.
Yeah, I think Morgan Gibbs White is 25, 26, I think. And I think
Kudos 25 as far as I know.
Yeah, Kudos is turning 25 on the 2nd of August. I looked that up earlier. People were saying he was 24. Well, he is, but he's going to be 25 very soon, right? But it doesn't matter the age. I don't really look at the age. I don't think we should do that because then you're counting out all the players who are 27, 28, 29, right? And there's some bloody good players in that age bracket who've got the experience, been there, done it, you know,
Got the
and all
storybook.
around Europe, you can pick up brilliant players in that age
I mean,
group.
it's like what Rob's telling me. Rob Belcher, big up to you, mate. I hope everything's good. We are Dan. A bit of advice: go to Blackpool more often. No, mate, I would rather not. But if I have to come Blackpool for a week or two to go and get a few transfers like this in, I suppose I'll take one on take one on the chin for the club as such. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's been all right up here. Lovely place we're staying in, and that some very very big animals, spiders and that, and the area's all right, I shall say. Let's just put it that way. But I'm not completely out on the coastline where I've got no internet or anything else. I wouldn't be able to handle that one. That'd do my head waiting.
Did you take your snakes with you, Dan?
No. We came around here for family and that, for some wife's family and that, to look after a couple of their pets. Gave us a bit of money for it as well. Get us out of the area just for a little bit.
Good.
And we've been up sea fun, everything else, done a few things up here and that. Just come out here, just get out of the area of London for a little while because it gets on your back a bit round there.
Yeah,
Whenever you walk
smoggy.
around the corner to go around the shop, you're looking over your shoulder, basically. But that's a different story.
Yeah, I get it.
But basically, this Morgan Gibbs one is all but done.
Yeah.
I mean, usually when it comes through, that's all you got to do now is do the medical, like it basically says there. It basically says job done.
Yeah. All in the new kit, and he'll be doing his medicals today or tomorrow, did they say?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. So
Brian, I mean, I can't say I've been this shocked with our transfers since, I don't know. I don't think I've had two transfers come up like that just...
No, never.
My feet. I don't mean get me super excited, but sit back and you're like, fuck, did we just do that? Twice?
No.
You're like, we haven't really sold people yet. I mean, if you really want to get technical with this, if we go and do this, that works out at about 120. That works out about 150, 160 we've already spent. But then I suppose Tell goes on last season's money and that. But that's four players we've got in there for that squad. I mean, no, I don't rate Tell. Danzo, I do rate. And Kudos, I do rate. Morgan Gibbs, I do rate. We could have got better for that price, but he's got everything else that comes with him. So I'm not going to complain about it at all. Yeah, I just must admit, I haven't been taken off my feet quite like that by Spurs for how quick we've moved and the caliber of player we've gone for. Because they're both definitely good players with a potential rise to become very good players. I know some people use the word quality very different, this and that, but for me, they're both good players, and they can definitely improve with the age they've got to become extremely good players. I haven't seen them do this. I can't remember when I last see us do this.
We've never done it. We've brought in one and then waited ages, and then we bring in. Well, last for Ange, we brought in loads of youngsters, and then. The first season we brought in Van der Ven, but he wasn't he was well known, but he wasn't well known.
No, he wasn't. No, most people didn't even look. Elly, most Spurs people didn't even know him. Yeah, exactly. Most Spurs supporters didn't even know him, and then his name came out, and everybody knew him and had known him for a long time. A lot of people didn't even know of him. Same as Romero. Yeah. Not many people knew of him. I did because I followed the Italian league. If we really want to be technical over here, this signing here of Morgan Gibbs White is probably a bigger signing than Romero. Is a bigger signing than Romero was on the day, and Van der Ven.
Yeah, because everybody knows him in England. There's not one. I don't think there's one fan who doesn't know in England.
Yeah,
especially.
he's a more established player, isn't he, than
Yeah.
Romero was when he came over here, because he'd had that brilliant season at Atalanta. And Van der Ven, hardly anybody knew of him until we was interested in him. So I'd say Morgan Gibbs is probably one of the most established known players that we've actually gone for in a long time.
Definitely, right? And I like it. Do you imagine if we got Eze as well? I think the whole fan base to say, bloody hell, they'll sit down in their armchairs wherever they sit. They'll bloody sit back and have a pint of beer or some champagne, or if you're a woman, a gin and tonic, right, and a bit of wine, and say, bloody hell, what's Levy on? Let's Levy on the champagne or something.
I'll stick with my son. Well, champagne. If he's getting this fruity, I think it's a bit more than champagne. And with that, I think it's just the shock of the whole thing, basically. I mean, I must admit, I'm a bit lost on what to say with it, because I just was not expecting this one.
I know. Listen. I still want to get Wisser in, because I think he's a brilliant player. He's so hardworking. He runs the line. He gets in the box. He finishes chances. He creates. He's just that all-round centre forward, and he reminds me of Garth Crooks a lot. And I loved Garth Crooks. Him and Archibald up front in the 80s were fabulous. The only thing is, he's playing with a big striker, so he's going to get fed. But with Brentford, and Bomo was creating a lot, yeah, and he scored a lot from the wings, and he'll cut across the box and bang it in, right? But Visser, he's going to be playing with Lanky Solanke, isn't he? So he has to play off
again.
him.
That depends what formation we're going to use.
Yeah,
it does depend on the formation, and I'm just really interested in what formation he's going to use. I mean, question here off of Jay. I'll just call you Jay. It's easier. I'll bite my tongue off otherwise. I mean, hi Dan. We still need to see a number 6. Well, if we're playing with 3-5 or 3-4, you don't need a 6. You don't need a 6 in that, as all you need is a solid box-to-box player there, because that's why you have the 3 defenders. And this is why I'm interested in the formation we're going to use. But do you think Lange or club have instructed Frank to coach Gray into that role? Possibly, but I just don't think he's got the capability of doing it. No. I mean, I don't want to go into an Archie Gray thing again, but he's too lightweight for that. He'd get punched about like a little punch bag out there.
Yeah. Well,
there's no physicality of him for a 6.
For England under 21s, they play him at right back. They don't play him in the middle.
That's what I mean.
They put him in defence. I think that's his calling. I don't think he's cut out to be a number 6 until he becomes a proper man, because he has to beef up a lot if he wants to play that role. And also, he's got to change his character, because he's too nice. You know, your number 6, they've got to be hard men, you know? Get stuck in.
Exactly. That's how we portray it. I mean, as far as I know, that I remember a DM and that, he has to be how shall I put it? He has to be a complete wanker.
Yeah. Like
basically,
Roberts. Even Rodri.
Like a Roy Keane, like a Getasso, like players like that. If you have someone like Gray come up to you as the number 6, you're going to backhand him across the face and leave a dirty red mark on his face and walk past him. I don't think he's ready for that yet. Give him due time, maybe. But at the moment, he's a boy. He's not ready for a DM role. Yeah, he's not ready for a DM in a million years.
Yeah, like do you imagine him coming up against Rodri in a one tackle? He'd be broken in 2.
Exactly. I mean, I use my phrase on it there. He'd be walking off like John Wayne. He'd get damaged. But so with that one, in 2 days, Elly, that's basically what you'd say 115, let's say 120 mil spent. Kudus and Gibbs White.
Yeah, I know.
That's 2 players that get into that first team.
Yeah, they do, straight in. Because who's going to... There's players who can challenge them for the role, but they haven't performed last season. They finished 17th, for God's sake. And they were playing crap. Like, Kulu started like a steam engine and just went, woo, dived down. And then he got injured. and he wasn't the same player.
I think he
came
burnt
back,
himself out a bit, Elly. I think Kulu's burnt himself out, and then the injury
Yeah.
done him no favours. I think he burnt himself out. You know, where you give it
burnt
too much
himself
too
out.
soon.
Yeah. You're right. He didn't have no, because Kulu's game is to get the ball and run at defences. If he's playing on the wing, right, he runs at defences and he's very good at nurturing the ball. But he was losing it so much because of the style of play we were playing, gun ho. He had to do a lot more legwork helping out Porro, because we all know Porro is a fantastic player, but he gets exposed because of the system, not because he's a shit defender. It's because of the system, because he was inverting and then he was having to make 50, 60-yard dashes back, and it takes it out of your leg stand, doesn't it? And then you get tired mentally and physically, and then you start making mistakes. And we saw it all last season. There were so many mistakes made.
He lost that ball so many times, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think at the moment, an ideal formation for this at the moment, from what I'm seeing, would be like a 3-4-2-1 or something. Because then you can have Gibbs and Maddison on there at the same time. Yeah, okay, you've got to drop Kudus lower and play him as an actual old school right midfielder, but for no reason he can't charge up that pitch and do something. That's something the man's got on him, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he's been got for. I mean, I don't know. What do you reckon? Where's this formation going?
I reckon you're spot on there, because it makes sense, because they're the type of players. Kudus is quite versatile, right? Because he can play winger and midfield, right? Because I've seen him do both, right? And he's very good, very, very good at dribbling and getting in there, right? We haven't had that, Dan. We haven't had a winger who could beat his man. The only one who showed a little bit was Odebear, but he didn't get much of a look in the team because he's very raw. Plus, Ange weren't trusting the youngsters until we got injuries. It was only because of the injuries that they got in, right? And then you've got Bergvall as well. That's a problem, isn't it?
Well, that's where it showed. Bergvall isn't
Not a problem.
an established player
nice
yet. He progressed from last season. Problem I had with Bergvall last year is there was hardly ever anything on the end of the stick, basically.
Yeah.
The end product as such. There wasn't much. There was hardly ever that pass or that goal there or whatever. And with someone like Gibbs coming in, I think that takes the place out, because he can play deeper as a centre mid as well, depending what we want to do with him.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's going to be anybody that comes in who's going to beat Maddison for that out-and-out number 10 playmaker role.
No.
And with that, we're definitely going to see at least Basuma go. I mean, we haven't really seen any players go either. And we don't usually move like that. We usually try and get rid of a couple before we get a couple in, don't we?
I know. What's Levy on? Has he been drinking that wine? he's having wine festivals with Inai, isn't he?
Well, he's definitely been doing something with him, and I definitely don't think it's wine. I don't know. Maybe he's been powdering his face, but who knows? So the other one that's going about at the moment, just to change it for a minute, I'm starting to read a lot of it. AC Milan willing to pay 40 mil for a doggy.
Wow.
A doggy, whatever people want to call him.
No way Levy's letting him go for 40 mil.
You don't think?
Nah. Because he's a very sought after player, Udogie, because he's quite a specific type of player. He's a very good, he's brilliant going forward. He's just got with his defensive work, he did get better towards the end of the season. He did improve, especially in the Champions League. But when you not in the Champions League, in Europa Cup, sorry. But when you think we're playing dross teams, really, there's only Frankfurt who's any decent team to beat. They've got credibility, Frankfurt. But I just saw a little bit more because he knew Spence was there as well, and he was fighting for his place. Right, I think he upped his game a bit. I don't see Levy letting him go for 40 mil.
He's definitely wanted in Italy. He's very well known in Italy for what he can do, because what he did at Udinese there, as an overlapping wing back, he is a very good player. that he's a good player with a lot of bloody potential. Whereas when you just play it the way they got played here, inverted wingback crap and everything and that, you ain't going to see the best out of them, are you? It's
That's
not going to
true.
happen. And that proper show. But with the manager we got now, it's definitely given us a lot of hope with the transfers. We know the manager is more than capable of progressing players, not regressing players. And especially with these two buyers, it definitely puts a smile on your face and a bit of confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like it. Well, obviously, I don't want us to stop there. I still want to get the striker and
Of course not. Keep going.
I'd love to get Damsgaard and that.
It's like I said, we want more.
I like him.
I want to be greedy. I'm not just satisfied with these two now. I want more.
We've got
I
to
want
build
that
the
first
squad.
11 improved. No, forget the squad. I want that first 11 improved.
Yeah, but what I mean by that, Dan, is we've got to have a top 11, but we've got to build a squad as well. On top of the first 11, that really, there shouldn't really be a first 11. There should be everybody battling for their places, right? And
yeah, but Elly, come on, that's a Man City system, yeah? Literally every team bar Man City and maybe Liverpool have their first 11. Or at least have their first 10.
That's because we've always left our managers short, Dan.
No, right? It's not just us, it's every team. Not everyone can be like Real Madrid or Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern Munich or Man City or whatever. Most teams have their first 11, or at least, let's say, first 9 players in that team that start without fail, if they're fit, basically. And with building the team, I get it. You don't want the drop to be so high. Like, if one of your players gets injured or come off, you don't want it coming off from a very good player to a bang average player. And that's the problem we usually get, isn't it?
Yeah, you put it in a better way than me. What I was trying to get at is like in a roundabout way, what you were saying. Like you get your first, say, 8 or 9 players who are always going to be your steadfast players, right? Because they're the creme de la creme, right? And then you've got your other players who'll be fighting for those positions. You need at least about 5 or 6 players who can get into that first team if they get their chance and they'll fight for it. Yeah. But I get your point about we're never going to be like a Man City where every player that comes in more or less is as good as the one that comes off. Yeah, we can't do that, but we can get closer to it. That's what I
get what you mean.
Get closer to it.
Tighten up the team, basically, so it's not such a major drop from good to crap sort of thing.
Yeah, like if you have to bring on someone and you have to bring on Winks or Skip or I don't know, in midfield we had Højbjerg who was coming in. He's experienced, but he's not creme de la creme, right? What you want not creme de la creme, but you want just below that, so that when they come on, they can affect the game. Yeah, and we haven't got such a massive drop off. Yeah,
I agree with what you're saying. It's just this whole thing. It's like okay, and it's like I keep reverting to now. I don't think this is going to happen. Not at all. I think he's too old for what. Even though he's not, but he's too old for what Daniel Levy seems to want to do. He's interested in the younger players and sort of like a max up to 25, 26 sort of thing. Someone that you could still sell on after 2 years. I mean, another thing that's starting to come up on a few of the things, and like my mate just told me, I mean, this one I'm going to have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, go on.
Walton's starting to come up as well. Or is this just now people going crazy?
Yeah. And, there's a guy called Wayne, right? He's a Leicester City fan. He said that Hayden... He said that Hayden... Is it Hayden Hackney? The one who plays for Middlesbrough?
I know you're on about.
He goes, he's the real deal, right? And he watches a lot of Championship football. And he goes, he's head and shoulders above everybody in that league, in that position. So if we wanted to take a punt, go for him. But if we want to play it safe, then go for Walton because he's impressed. For Palace, he comes in. They win They win the FA Cup by beating Manchester City as well. That's no mean feat, and he was really instrumental in their victory in that game. Yeah. So
no, I totally agree. and we got someone else who's going to come on and say hello as well. Mr. Excited,
Hey.
how are we doing?
All right, Brian.
I am going to say hello, but I'm going to say it in this way. Hello, hello. Smog and Gibbs, what? Hello, hello. Mate, I am absolutely mate, and Elly Diamond. Oh my good
Have you
God.
been having chats with Levy, Brian?
Or he's been listening to me. Bloody hell. What a signing.
I know.
Talk about moving in the shadows. Right, mate. I am honestly.
Brian, you couldn't have predicted this if you tried.
If someone had said to me before we won the Europa League by the 10th of July, you'll have the manager you wanted for 2.5 years and a player you've wanted for 4 in the same window, I'd have been like, you're absolutely off your rocker.
It ain't happening.
I'd be like, not a goddamn chance. But my God, it's happened.
To the point you'd almost bet your life on it, not far from it, isn't it?
Yeah, completely, totally and utterly. But I have to say, for people that were doubting Thomas Frank and his pull and what he could get over the line and whatever, mate, this is there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that there's been investment in Spurs. Absolutely, there is no doubt in my mind. There's no way that there isn't some investment somewhere, whether it be a lucrative sponsorship deal, whether it be a minor stake. Something is definitely going on behind the scenes at Tottenham. And what a wonderful time.
I agree. I mean, what I said at the start of the show is the price of him, 60 million. I mean, it ain't my money at the end of the day, so I don't care, yeah?
Yep.
I do believe we could have gone out and got a better player as a whole for 60 million in Europe with the way the economy has crashed there. But I am not going to complain in any means or manner because I agreed with you a little while ago. I think Morgan Gibbs-White is a good player. But then he also sinks in for everything else with Spurs. He sinks in with the homegrown, doesn't he?
Yeah.
English and that. And then on top of that, also, he's played in the Premier League for a couple of years now. He's got experience. He can cover a couple of positions as well. I mean, he can play centre, mainly attacking midfield, innit? And he can also play right, if I remember correctly, at Forest. And it seems like we're getting a couple of versatile players in there as well. Because you look at Kudos, he can play left, right, midfield, centre.
Yeah.
So, where do you see this formation game with Frank? I mean, Frank was probably my third choice. I was happy we got him, more than happy. I would have still preferred, names forgetting off my head, I'd still preferred the Palace manager. Glasner. But Frank, I was more than happy with because he's a quality coach, what we needed. And I don't think anyone saw these type of players coming in. They was expecting us to basically stick with Tells and that, weren't they?
Oh, well, I mean, listen, you got look at this way. When we had the 150 million war chest under Conte, we spent 100 million of it on 7 players. Well, we've just spent 115 on 2.
Yeah.
And not only have we spent it on 2, we spent it on 2 players, Premiership proven, 24 and 25 years old respectively, which is the kind of they're going to reach their peak. But then you look at it, when people were going mad about the Tell signing, saying, oh my God, this is a waste of money, blah, 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 we could have got other whatever. He's come in, and like I've been saying before, when Dele Alli came into our team, he had 10 players around him to help nurture him and help him develop and go through everything.
Yeah.
And now you're bringing real quality in. And you look at the Tell, and you look at the Sakai transfer, and if we're going to bring in players the calibre of Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White in, alongside that, bring it bloody well on.
Yeah.
You know what? I think a lot of people will agree with you there because now that we've just signed them two, basically done, as all he's got to do is have his medical in it, so it's pretty much a done deal. You don't really think about Tell anymore, do you?
No.
Tell needs quality around him. And we saw last season, whether it was the position, the formation, the tactics, whatever, and the lack of quality that we really had, and the lack of quality we really had around him, and the mood of the camp, we didn't see the best of him. And I don't think he was playing in his best position or being asked to do things that literally suited style of play. But now you've got Thomas Franklin.
I can't say I saw anything good off Tell at all, personally.
No, that's fair.
Getting him was crazy. But I can see why we did get him. Because technically, he didn't really cost us no money. But he didn't. The point I'm making is we still weren't going to see that extra 50 million off Bayern Munich for another 3 years or whatever. So what we've basically just gone and done there is said, right, do you know what? Give us that player, we call it quits, or you still owe us 10 mil, whatever it is, with a player that in football, let's say, people do say he's got potential. I've got to see something to give him potential personally. But I can get it, if you know what I mean. Again, it wouldn't have been my choice, but I get it. But then when you go and make transfers like this, that's 2 first-team players. I mean, Brian, what is going on with this fucking formation? What is he going to play?
This is do you know what we look at? When you look at Morgan Gibbs-White, like you said, there's a player that I think is best in the 8. I think he has the attributes, as I'm saying, to possibly be a 6. He hasn't really played. He's played a 6 a couple of times. But if people were watching Savage Show when I was on Savage Show and he brought up his heat map, he's everywhere. He's everywhere. But he can play. You got to remember, Maddison picks up an injury here and there. Maddison falls often. So he goes out. Then you got Morgan Gibbs-White immediately in the
Gibbs
10.
is very consistent, isn't he? He's a very consistent player.
100%. And he runs his socks off. He literally puts in such a shift. The great thing is, we said that we need players to play. Frank plays a lot of systems, and he needs to find players to fit that system and play it to the best of their ability. Well, that's what Spurs are doing right now.
Yeah.
I
mean, for me, I look on Gibbs, type of player he is, as a bit of a posh man Sarr. Because I don't rate Sarr. I just think he's an engine and he can run and that's all he can bloody do. But Gibbs has got everything that Sarr's got and a hell of a lot more, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like I said, he reminds me of Conor Gallagher, but he's got that extra bit of class and he's better on the ball. When he drives with the ball, there's more end products. I just think he's an all-rounder. He's an all-rounder, but he's a powerful player. But I'm with Brian. He's a definite 8. He's not a 6 because he hasn't got that.
No, he's not a 6. Never.
No, he hasn't got that dirty shithousery edge to him.
No,
you know.
But then he's not. For me, he can play as a 10, but then he plays the 10 as the attacking midfield central, going into a shadow at the same time, sort of thing. But he can definitely cover that playmaker 10 better than Kulusevski.
Yeah. So
what are we going to do there then? Are we going to play a 3-5-2-1, 3-5-2? Are we going to do a 4-3-3, 4-3-2? I'm a bit lost because I know Frank has got the capability, and knowledge to play these ways with the team, whereas other managers ain't got that caliber.
Correct. You got to remember as well, as we were saying before, we're playing in 4 cup competitions this season. True. We need a team that you can rotate, keep fresh, do whatever. As we know, for different games, and I can't remember who said it. I think it might have been Simeon, whoever it was. For the first 3 games of the season, forget Champions League or domestic, we're going to play Burnley, a low block team. He's going to have to come up with a strategy to play them. Man City away, a high possession team. He's going to have to be a different style to that. And then Bournemouth, which is a very pressing, ultra-attacking. So in the first 3 Premier League games, he's going to have to play 3 different systems or 3 different styles of play. So we'll see firsthand what he's going to do. This thing, Dan, as you were saying, I think last season it was 4-3-3, 4-3-3, 4-3-3, 4-3-3, just maybe not inverted wingers or maybe an adaptation for Europe. I think we're going into a season where we don't know what team we're going to play. And most importantly, I don't think our opponents have a clue of what we're going to do.
I mean, having good enough players to do that is actually a good thing. I mean, sitting there as a manager, and some people say you want to know your 11. Most teams know their first 11. Me and Elly were saying it earlier. But to be a manager in a predicament of you've got 2 players just as good as each other to play in a position, that's the sort of predicament you want to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm with Brian as well about the formation. He's going to surprise a lot of people because they won't know what we're going to do, right, until that team sheet comes in. But one good thing, well, lots of good things about Frank, but he changes his system in game as well because he's adaptable.
That is why I wanted him, Elly. That is why he was a
Yeah.
third choice for me, because I know
I
he's got
know.
the capability of adapting, but not just one or two little things.
True.
He's more than willing in a game to swing his whole system round or change it for the next game, basically.
I mean, on Sava's show, I was just going against everything just to make the show more interesting. But here, I'm being
I'd never have guessed,
mature.
Elly.
Right, but here I'm saying my truth, right? Because Frank is a fantastic coach. Everybody admires him. That's the beauty of the man. Everybody you talk to, every report you see, right? Brian bigs him up. We know this. He's
got more respect in football than people realise. He's got more respect in football than he is out of football as such.
Yeah, right. And you compare him to Ange, right? Who's won nearly everywhere he's been, right? He's been winning everywhere he's gone, right? But he hasn't got no respect because of the style of football he plays. Whereas Frank, he'll come in and he'll adapt. He'll do an in-game adaptation as well. If he sees something not working, he changes it up, right? And he gets more. You think what he's done with Brentford? It's a miracle what he's done with Brentford. Kept them up for 4 seasons. A small club like Brentford, who've only got 17,000 people coming through
Elly,
the turnstiles.
That's something I've said before. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not questioning the top managers out there like Pep, Klopp and Angelotti and everything. But yeah, I would love to see someone give me Pep, get him to get Brentford promoted, and then get him to keep Brentford in the Premier League for 4 years, not even going into the bottom 3 once. Please do that. I'm not saying he ain't got the capability of doing it, but I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these quality managers have always had the money in the palm of their hand because they're at the massive club, isn't it? And then it's different standards because they're expected to win stuff, whatever. But what Frank done for Brentford, at a place where their stadium is about 17,000 big, limited in every which way you could be as a club, to keep them as a mid-table club in the Premiership, basically, and not even going to relegation into the bottom 3 once, surely that tells you there's a bloody good manager there.
Defo. We know he's an excellent manager. But listen, Spurs, we're the most fickle fan base ever. So if he doesn't start well, you know what's going to happen? All these idiots are going to come out and say, he's not going to win anything for us, blah, blah, blah. But a manager needs time to put his ethos into the team, to get them playing in his style and be supported as well. Because now Levy's put his money where his mouth is. He's brought 2 really good players in, right? He's going to add to it, I think, as well. So I'm really excited because that gives Frank a better chance. Like Stel was saying, what manager has had a chance to progress us to that extra bit, push an extra mile, give the manager a bit more chance. Put your hand on your heart. We haven't had no season where that has happened, right? Not one season.
Well, I wanted to see Frank get back the same way as Ange. And what I meant by that was, in his first season, he got between 3 and 6 players for that first team.
Yeah.
You could say he got at least 3 or 4 players for that first team. Now, this one's going to be, you would say, harder. He's got at least 2 players that walk into that first team, as far as I'm concerned, and you can find places for him easy. And I agree with you on the Morgan Gibbs one. If we're going to play, say, a 4-3-3, you stick him straight in the middle, or you stick him in the wing, basically, with Maddison going forward, don't you?
Yep. Listen, the possibilities of what our midfield can look like is just fascinating right now. And obviously, what we got to know that there's definitely players leaving, whether it be Basuma, and Bentancur, we are going to have to make weight. We are going to have to lose some. But like we were saying, there's sometimes things happen where you have to get rid of some big players to bring in new blood and whatever. And like I said, my brother Craig, you've got to look at it, and whatever is happening at Spurs, like we said, Dan, when you and me have streamed, every single player's got a blank slate, and whoever Frank wants to get rid of, whoever it may be, fine by me. Fine by me. If you're going to bring in players of this ilk when money is available to you, then so bloody be it. So
then I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. I mean, I said, like, when asked about a week ago, what would I be satisfied as a good window? I said that we get at least, I mean, maybe I had a bit lower standards than a few other people out there in this aspect, whereas in other aspects I have higher standards than some people out there. It's each their own at the end of the day, whatever turns you on, isn't it? And I said, get me 2 players that walk into that first team where we go for quality, not quantity.
Yep.
And if they're the only 2 players we get, I'll be happy with that. But so far, we've gone and done it. And I must admit, I'm shocked.
I know. I just want us to add a few more now. Because,
I mean, well, obviously, we want more. I want to be greedy. I want more players in there. But you've got to say, so far, especially with these 2 in 2 days, you'd say so far it's looking all right, isn't it?
Without doubt. If what we've got to sit back and look here and say is, tell me a window where Spurs have gone in. Where Spurs have gone in and signed 2 players of 50 and 65 million, or whatever it may be, 50 and 60 million, 2 players that are Premiership proven, 2 players that walk into the first team. Mm-hmm. We had to do it in 24 hours, and I have to say as well, Morgan Gibbs White. I was on a show on Tottenham on Tour. Finished. The rumours started breaking about Morgan Gibbs White by Ornstein. Within 2.5 hours, here we go. I'm paying the release fee. When have Spurs ever done that? There is 100% some investment in this football club. There is 100% something going on behind the scenes, without a shadow of a doubt.
100%.
I mean, it's like the point Stel makes here, and I know this is his little dig at me for what I said. 17th place puts good players off signing for Spurs.
I disagreed with this at the time, and I stand by it. Champions League.
I mean, I was the one who said that I think some players will look at it and it'll put them off, whereas other players like these who ain't in the Champions League, they'll ignore that bit and look at the Champions League side. But I'm more than happy to be wrong if this is true. If no player is going to give a shit that we finish 17th and come to us and whatever, I mean, I've always been a big one to say that money talks. Then if I've got this one wrong, I'm more than happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
Because again, you know what?
Right or
Kudos I could have seen happening, yeah. But this one, no. I did not see this one coming.
Came out of left wing, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in some aspects, I'd say, yeah, this one surprises me more than Kudos. I mean, West Ham, we wouldn't want to get the fuck away from West Ham unless your family's from it, basically, if we're going to be totally honest. And Nottingham Forest were not poor last season at all. They only slipped up towards the end.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, I wonder how Wolfie's feeling with this one as well. Do you reckon he's happy with that one, or?
Well, Wolfie, literally, I was on We Are Tottenham TV.
Okay.
And then they substituted me for Wolfie. And Wolfie was like, they're not happy. They're not happy. He was saying, obviously, he thinks that it's best position in 8, like me. But you got to think about it. In the last 24 hours, we've absolutely smashed West Ham fans to nuclear meltdowns. And today, you've got to look at it. Within a week, Nottingham Forest have lost Alanga and Morgan Gibbs White.
Yeah.
They've lost 2. I mean, if someone had said to her, we're going to, like I said, I don't think anyone, especially people like myself and Stel and others who are huge Levy Outers, would have said that if someone had said to us, Spurs are going to get Mohamed Kudus and Morgan Gibbs White at any point in this window, let alone within 24 hours, I'd have been off your goddamn rocker. Off your goddamn rocker. But it's happened. It's happened.
Do you know what's more baffling, boys? Is this Eze business? What's going on there, man? It's weird.
Does anyone even think that now, that if, say, for instance, like I said this morning, that if the Embremo one falls through, which to me it's looking like there's more of a chance it could fall through, because Man U just ain't, they just ain't got the space to do it at the moment until they sell up. Or if Ezzy's one don't go right, do you think we've actually got the capability to then go out and get Eze? But then with who we've just signed, I think that's Eze written off, basically, isn't it?
Mate, if we're to go and sign Eze, and I got Thomas Frank, Morgan Gibbs White, and Eze in one window, I've completed life. All I need to do is get Levy out, and I think by the looks of it, it ain't far off.
Oh, no.
I think I'd have to come up to the hospital and see you where you pass
Mate,
out. For a few
Mate, I'm
days.
either going to pass out, or I'm going to literally go on the biggest adrenaline rush ever, and it will be hard to come back down. But God knows. God knows.
If I die tomorrow, I'll be a happy woman. You lot can take up the slack.
Yeah.
I mean, in that aspect as well, I mean, what just got said here, I think it's actually quite a good point. Why do you think club investing 60 million into Gibbs White rather than Eze? I mean, because if we've had to pay this up front, because that was his buyout, and from what I read, we would have had to pay up to 70 million if we weren't going to pay it all in one go, unless some deal has been made behind the line. We just don't know how that's gone. Then why didn't we just slam that one down for Eze? I mean, maybe the manager just actually wants Morgan Gibbs White more than Eze, because they are different types of players, isn't they?
They are. I mean, from obviously the rumours that have come out, and I trust everything about it. Thomas Frank has admired, we've heard this a lot, admired Morgan Gibbs White for a long time. And as we've been saying, when he's been at Brentford, he hasn't got the budget that he would do at Spurs. He won't have the name of Tottenham Hotspur. I think Morgan Gibbs White ever going to Brentford, as much as Frank may have wanted him, let's face it, was never going to happen. Was never going to happen. Coming to Tottenham Hotspur is a different animal, and Frank will have the resources to be able to do it. And you look at Crystal Palace, apparently the fee was 60 million up front and whatever, and it's gone on for 3 years, and obviously there's never been any movement or whatever.
And then it got down to the 2020 bit, didn't it, where we thought we might have a chance, and then others have stepped in with it as well.
The filth came in as well, and he's a filth supporter apparently. Whether he goes there is another thing.
Yeah.
But Morgan is moving slow, isn't it? That one is moving very slow.
It has.
Yeah,
So,
like Arsenal have offered another player now to try and get Eze's deal over the line.
Who've they offered?
I'm trying to read who it is, but I can't. You know these long reports. I heard it might be Mweri. Is it the young boy? If they lose him, I think Arsenal fans are going to do one because they love him, don't they? They think he's a top talent.
It's just.
I'm
trying to work out. I'm still sitting here trying to work out what I said earlier and trying to work out what formation we're going to use. I mean, I know he's going to adapt it and that, but what is going to be the main formation? You always have your main formation, don't you? Your main system.
Yeah.
And Maddison is going to be that number 10 no matter what, unless he gets injured or unless he goes right downhill, because he is the playmaker that we have, but we do have cover for him now as well. So where you're going to get Morgan Gibbs in there, like in a 4-2-3-1, you're going to play him behind him and play him as more of the box-to-box, like you'd play Basuma as such.
I know.
Not so much.
Right.
I just don't know what formation we're going to be looking at. I mean, in some ways, it looks.
How good is that? How good is it not to know it?
That's good. I've been trying to work this out for a few days now, and now this one has happened. It's got me even more complicated on it because there's a few formations you can fit this lot into.
It's true. Because under Ange, we knew what was going to happen formation-wise.
Yes, so did the rest of the world, didn't it?
I like.
If you think about it, I wouldn't say no to a better goalkeeper, but then I'm not going to be upset if we keep him. I just think he needs to improve, and also think if he gets more heart in his defence and his defence get more heart in him, they'll work out better. So we keep Vicario there. We got Porro on the right, Adobe on the left, or Spence, whatever one we decide to put there. And then you've got Van der Ven and at the moment Romero in the middle. or Danzo, whoever you want to put there. And then if we play 3 in the middle, or 2 in the middle, should I say, you can have Morgan Gibbs-White take over Basuma's role as such. Then you've got the option of who you put next to him out of Bergvall, Bentancur. Out of them two, I'd say, because I wouldn't have Sarr on there. I'd quite happily sell him along with Basuma as well. And then in front of that, you've got the 10 with Maddison. On the right, you've got Kudus. Up front, it still looks like it could be Solanke. And then who'd you put on the left? Is Son going to stay? Is Tell going to play there?
I know. He's got a big headache. He's got to have not a wealth of riches yet, but he's got options. He's got options now. Yeah, because he's got Kulu as well, who's coming back from injury. I think he's going to be out for the first.
They've said he's going to be out for quite a while still before he's fully fit.
A couple of months he's off.
That's what I've read. He's out for at least another 4 months. That's what I've read, but we know
another 4 months. Wow, that's a long time.
I mean, Brian, you've got a question here. I mean, Brian, what do you think? What do you think Frank will do with Gray?
Well, this is the big question, isn't it? This is the big question because you look at Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, we were all saying before under Postecoglou, we needed a number 6. We needed like a Wanyama. We needed a Dembele. We needed a Palacios, a hard-as-nails enforcer, so to speak. Well, now I don't think we do need that. I do think we need one with defensive capabilities, but you look at it, was it one of those which are an enforcer, just get the ball hard as nails, give it, or do you want one like a Michael Carrick, a more cultured, a more ball-playing one? And I think having Gibbs-White and his energy levels gives more to the Carrick style of number 6 than a Wanyama. It'd be lovely to get one. Don't get me wrong. I think Frank will work with him, but I think with Morgan Gibbs-White and Benson playing as an 8, if one of them I now have a lot more confidence in Gray being as player 6, but not the Wanyama 6, the Carrick 6. And I'm not comparing him to Carrick. I'm just saying style of play wise. So this is the thing: the evolution of Gray we shall see. But having a Gibbs-White in front of him, or a Bentancur, or both, or a Bergvall and a Bentancur, or Bergvall, there's so many options now. There's so many options, and we've got to remember, like we said, we're now in 4 competitions.
I mean, for me, this
Carabao Cup along the whole time in number 6.
I mean, for me, at this moment in time, this just pushes Archie Gray further down the system as such, unless we're playing a League Cup game against a League 2 team or whatever, or an FA Cup game, because he ain't seeing no Champions League football unless there's an immense amount of injuries, and he ain't going to see no decent Premier League games unless there's injuries as such. You know, you get time here and there. That's why I still say we stick him out on bloody loan. But this is definitely positive.
Yeah.
Can't argue what happened in the past couple of days. It actually looks a bit positive at Spurs for a change. By the end of last season, it had me to the point that I was barely even happy that we won the cup. I was relieved. As soon as Ange finally went, I was like, thank God for that. But who are we going to get? And then you see Frank, he clears out half the ball, gets Frank in, brings Frank's coaching staff with him, which is something Levy's not known for doing either. We've lost out on managers because we haven't brought in the coaching team. And then things die down and go very dry, and we're wondering where the fuck are we going? And then out of nowhere, you get Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White coming.
Honestly, did anyone think waking up this morning would just be buzzing over the Kudus news? Forget that it's Gibbs-White, it is Gibbs-White, but if someone had said right now, you'd wake up this morning and Spurs will go on and make another massive signing, we all would have said, yeah, not a chance.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did ask me yesterday, and that is that going to be our big signing? Is Kudus our big signing? Well, to me now, that's 2 big signings we've made.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying either of them are world-class players, but I think both of them are good players that have got more than enough potential on them to become very good players.
Damn right.
We're not we're not going to go after world-class players either.
Of course not.
Like Savile was saying, we've got a shop here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like level, right?
Yeah, but Elly, we don't even usually shop here. We usually shop in fucking Aldi's, for God's sake.
I know. Like,
Not that that's a problem there. I shop there myself, but it's a bit different to shopping in Aldi's to Marks and Spencer, isn't it?
Yeah, but sometimes we even pay big money for dross, don't we? And unknowns.
Well,
and
we do most
ones
of the
that are
time.
not proven. Yeah, but we know these two lads. They've got prem experience behind them, and they're really good players, and to bring some nice flavours to our team.
Yeah, I don't know really where to take it from that. I mean, you do think now, and like I say, I won't say I'm satisfied with this now. I want more. I'm greedy like that. I want more. But at the start of the window, I did say, if you give me 2 established players who walk into that first team, I'm happy with the transfer window.
100%.
We still got about another month left, didn't we?
We've still got another month and a half, mate. Got another month and a half.
Does it go up to somewhere mid-August?
September the 1st. The window closes.
September the 1st. Wow.
September the 1st. The window
another 6 weeks then, yeah? Another 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah.
So do you reckon this goes any further now? Or have we got our shit done early for a change, or more than early enough?
I think there's one more big sign in this window.
Yeah.
I think there's one more big. And when I say big, I don't mean like, oh my God, world-class elite of the elite. Established first tier that comes in. What we've got to look at now is, whatever way we look at it, players are going to leave this football club now. They had to already. Now they will do.
Yeah.
We also, I mean, I don't know what their wages are going to be, but they're not going to be on they're going to be on the higher end of the spectrum at Spurs. Whether it eclipses
200 grand or whatever.
Maybe, who knows, mate? But if they do with where Sonny's going, these are 2 big players that are going to command big wages.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see. But I do think we will get players gone. But I do think now, with what's been going on at Spurs, with the setup, with Charrington, Vinay, Cullen gone, all the others, Frank coming in with assurances, there's definitely something going on behind the scenes. And Spurs are addressing this market in a way they haven't done under Levy at all.
Yeah, true.
I agree. I mean, you look at, what I said to Elly, Brian, some might say this one sounds odd, whatever, but if you actually take it back to the time as such, these 2 are bigger signings than Romero was and Van de Ven was. I mean, most people hadn't even heard of Van de Ven until you spoke about him, and then all of a sudden everybody knew about him.
Yep.
And Romero was nothing massive. He wasn't European known. He was known in Italy. He just had a brilliant season there, but that was it. If anything, these 2, especially Morgan Gibbs, I think they're 2 more established players when they've been bought than Romero and Van de Ven were. Easy. I think the closest one to these 2 is possibly Maddison.
Yeah. You'd put it on that level, wouldn't you? Because Maddison was well known. He's a fantastic player.
I think he's the last established player that we bought as such, because I don't class Solanke in that way at all. He had one good season, but everybody knew of Maddison. Okay, not a world-class player, but known as a very good player on his day and that. It's 2 very good established players we've gone and bought there. And they are more established than Romero and Van de Ven were when we get them.
100%. But also remember, Maddison was relegated. If they had stayed in the Premier League, do I think Spurs, the way they were running things, would have gone for the Premier League value? That's up in the air. We'll never know. We'll never ever know. You can't say yes or no, but I'm sure it wouldn't have been the 40 million or whatever it was we paid for him. There'd have been a Premier League payment, kind of. It would have been an extra 10, 15, 20, whatever. I can't remember a time in Levy's tenure, in Spurs' history, where we've got and dropped £115 million in 24 hours.
I know.
On 2 players. Like I said, we spent 100 million on 7 under Conte.
And that's with them 2 as well. That's a large sum that's going to have had to be dropped up front. I mean, from what I heard on the West Ham deal, is we had to drop like over 40 million on the spot, basically, to get the job done, because they needed that money to bar themselves out. And I don't know how this one has gone or whatever. I know Levy's going to have his little thing in it, whatever. But it was either you paid the 60 million up front or you're going to be paying 70 million plus over a bit of due time as such. Call it a bit of insurance or something. And
what player, you lads, right? What player would you like to see come in next? The big signing, the first big, the signing that you want, who's a big star, you know, it's got kudos, right?
For me, the one I'd love to go for now, because again, I don't think up front is our biggest. It looks weak, but I don't think it is our biggest problem because it can score goals. I'm not saying it's good. It looks better with Kudos there, without a doubt. But my biggest problem, apart from the bloody tactics, was midfield. And that midfield did not look complete or organised in any means or manner. Not the top looks complete or organised in any means or manner last season. But I'm a firm believer of that it starts at the back and works its way forward. First thing I was to always sort out as a manager is my defence. Yeah. Once you got a defence can win you a league. Yeah. Strikers win you games. But midfields control games. And if you haven't got an established and stable midfield, you're going to get cooked every time, basically, like we did. So for me, I'd quite happily put Gibbs there. Okay, keep Solanke, whoever else up front who's going to stay up there. And I would personally go for the other centre mid to make that midfield solid there. That is what I would do personally. And go give me Ederson all day long.
Yeah.
Go give me Locatelli. And one of them playing along Morgan Gibbs White, I'm an extremely happy man there. I mean, I don't know about you two.
Go on, Elly.
I'm interested in the Locatelli business because I liken him to like a Tonali type of player. Mm-hmm. You know, he's got something about him. He's tenacious. I like him a lot, and I think he'll be a fabulous addition to that midfield. We need a bit of backbone as well in there.
Locatelli's more like your Carrick sort of player.
Yeah, you know, he's got that finesse, but he's got that bite to him as well. You know, and he can get stuck in. He's a good baller. You know, he can control the midfield as well. We need someone like that with the experience because even though we bought Morgan Gibbs White and Kudos, they're not at their peak of their game yet because they're both 24 and 25, but they're not reached their peak yet. To have Locatelli there guiding them, you know, and giving them stability, that would be fantastic.
A very cool, calm, calculated player.
Yeah,
some might say he's
like
a little bit slow.
For Newcastle, he made them.
Yeah, but Tonali's a bit more aggressive and physical and faster than Locatelli is.
You know what I want to talk about, Dan, with what you just said about the defence, midfield, whatever. I don't really want to speak about because I'm not getting into that conflict. But if we look at it last season, the defence was a shambles because of inverted wing fullbacks, no midfield to protect them, all over the place. You look at this now with Thomas Frank. You look at it now, especially with the coaching setup. You look at it. You look at that back. If it's a back four, let's just say Porro, Romero if he's there, or Danso, Van der Ven, and Destiny. Solid back four, very very solid back four. Where Van der Ven isn't the best with his head, Danso is an aerial machine. Everything is there. Then the reason they were getting stretched and Van der Ven was getting the injuries he was the non-stop running and last-ditch defending. Now he's going to have, in a Frank team, a team that defend deeper or a midfield that play deeper. You look at that midfield we had last season wasn't a bad midfield. It was just for the tactics we were trying to play and injuries we had and trying to get square pegs into round holes, it didn't match.
Yeah.
There's matching now. Then up front, this team is going to be so night and day to what we had last season. Style of play wise, tactic wise, formation, everything.
It's going to be organised, Brian.
That's what. There couldn't be a better word. There couldn't be a better word, and you're just going to see players elevate. I have to. All these players that we heard were going to be unhappy under Frank and didn't want to play his style, and Mate, when
Right,
you see
as soon as they turned up, they started carrying these fucking bags for him, for God's sake.
well, this is the thing. They've come in now, and you look at it. Even Romero, that has said what the problem is with that dig, never in his career, or not his Spurs tenure, has he seen back-to-back signings in the same window of Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White.
No.
Like, bang. It's a brand new dawn at Tottenham Hotspur. Whether it be Enoch have wised up, Levy has wised up, whether it's been investment, whether it's been the coaching and Vinay, there is change at Tottenham Hotspur. And if this is the way Spurs are going to start acting, I'm all in for it.
Yeah.
Still don't change my opinion on Levy, by the way. He's still got to do this consistently for years.
It's going to take a few years to get that off his back.
This is what people like myself have wanted to see. And have
moaned somewhere in you. And then
exactly.
Show ambition.
Ben, how are you doing? What the fuck is going on here?
Mate, that was going to be my question to you. First off, thanks for having me back on. Hello, Brian. Nice to see you.
Big up, brother.
How are you?
All right.
What the fuck is going on? Like, I'm sitting there. It's my cheat day today. So I've got a nice fat pizza in front of me. I'm sat down. I'm relaxing. I'm like, right. I'm flicking through my phone and I'm seeing Romero, Spurs have signed, not looking at, signed. Morgan Gibbs White for 60. I'm thinking, no, behave yourself. Right. And I'm thinking, it must be a fake account. So I'm flicking through. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know what to say. Like, 2 back-to-back signings of that caliber. I mean, what is going on? Like, is this some sort of dream world? I mean, listen, I don't even know what to say. I'm fucking speechless. I'm fucking speechless, and that don't happen too often. But listen, you know, Kudus one day, Morgan Gibbs the next. I mean, I'm seeing things from Tottenham tears as well about Adam Walton too. So imagine.
Yeah, that's what my mate has been telling me on the side. That that's actually meant to be quite. I'm not going to get too overexcited, sort of thing. But when you go and see these two things happen, you can't help but then drift it off that maybe that one can happen as well. I mean, so if we went and got Walton, Gibbs White, and Kudus in one window.
Yeah,
that's unheard of.
I'll say this much, right? And again, I am so happy. I'm sure everybody is. There is one thing though that I'm having a bit of a think about. Right, Tottenham don't act like this. We all know that.
No.
So my question is, why? So I'm starting to think we might lose a Kulu, maybe. We might. I mean, definitely. Go on.
Fine by me if we lose Kulu.
I said this to you today on Twitter, mate. I wouldn't be too amiss if he was gone. I mean, you know, the guy is fantastic, if not our best player for 6 months of the season, and then the rest of it, he fucking disappears. So I wouldn't be overly upset, but you know, I'm starting to think if this is how we're moving, there's going to be a major shake-up at Spurs, and I'm starting to think there's going to be quite a few people heading out the door.
Brian was saying that earlier. I mean, we knew players were going to go anyway. But when you're spending this sort of money, especially at Spurs, let's be realistic here, you know they've got to make some of that money back. But there's more than enough.
Well, they don't.
Sides. They do. There's more than enough money. There's more than enough crap on the side to sell to bring a bit of money back in. Now, I'm not saying it's going to make up for everything, but I think there's still four players there that we can easy enough sell and get a bit of money, not make the money back on them, but get some money back into the system as such. I mean, Solomon, he's going to, I'd say you could sell him for 10 mil. Opinion.
21, I'm hearing.
Okay, well, I'm just giving a random number. I think around about 10, 15 mil then. Gil, I think he's one you might have to give him away. I mean, is Son going to go? If he does, he's not going anywhere until we finish playing in South Korea, and that would be stupid if he did. But that's going to bring you at least, I'd say, 30 mil in, because whoever buys him gets their money back on the day with him. With Charlison, if you can kick him out for bloody 5 million, just go and fucking do it.
He's scraping the claw marks at the door.
Yeah, and Basuma, he can still go for 10 mil. And there you go. With what I've just said there, you've already made back 3/4 of the money that you've just spent on Kudus, basically.
Do you think there'll be any surprise sales, guys? Is there anyone any of you can think of he might go? Like, aside from maybe a Kulu?
I mean, Romero going wouldn't be a surprise for me because we've been sort of waiting for that. I'd say out of that entire team, the only one that would be a surprise sale for me. I mean, Bergvall don't come into it. Is either Van de Ven would surprise me. For me, it's not the end of the world, but it would very much surprise me. And Maddison. I think they are the only two that I would actually be like, fuck, did we just sell them? Like, they would be the only two I would be shocked at. Whether it's Kulusevski that goes, whether it's Son that goes, Romero that goes. I think the only other one I'd have shock with if we sold was Porro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely shock. On that. Yeah, because I love Porro. I think he's a fantastic player. I don't want him to go. I want him to stay for his rest of his career because he's fantastic. And he was exposed last season, so it made him look bad in terms of defence. But going forward and his passing range, and I just love him because he loves being at Spurs.
He's a very good player who is significant. He's another one who's significantly better if you play him the right way. But
yeah,
I mean, Elly, who would you actually be shocked if we sold them at Spurs? Like, actually shocked?
Shocked? No one really. Maybe Bentancur, because I think he's experienced, and it'd be sad to lose him. I think it'll be a little bit of a shock, but not a big shock.
Two players for me. Two players for me that I'll be shocked. Van de Ven and Porro. Any of the others, but going back to Porro played the most minutes in the Premier League and in Europe last season, was overplayed and undervalued, something that I've said for ages when it comes to this football team. Had his dip because he was playing so consistently and with injuries going on. Spence came in and did very, very well. But right at the end of the season and towards us getting to Europe, Porro was magnificent. He'd had a rest. He was able to catch his breath and recuperate and get back to the levels he set. Pedro Porro, for me, is captain material.
He is. He's a brilliant player. I love him. His passing is fantastic. There was one ball we did to Solanke, who Solanke just clawed it out of the air and banged it in against Newcastle. Don't know if you remember that one, lads.
I always wanted to see Porro up front, right, basically, as a right winger is where I wanted to see him, but that place is taken now. And I think he's going to work excellent with Kudus cutting in, basically, and him actually overlapping as a wing-back. I can't say I've ever thought of him as captain material, but if you say that, what captain material do we really have at Spurs as such?
Yeah.
Definitely a player that goes on and gives it his all 9 times out of 10. Whether it succeeds or not is a different story. But he does come on that pitch with an attitude of, I'm going to give it what I've got. Okay, he comes off lamer at times than others, but he's he's always going to give it on there. Whereas other players, on that pitch, one day you'll get a 9 out of them, another day you'll get a 3 out of them.
Yeah, you're talking about Romero there.
I'm talking about a lot of them in general. I mean, Ben Davies is another player that whenever he plays, he's going to give it his all. Whether you get a 4 or 7 out of him is a different story. But he will always come on and give it his all. Danzo, another one. When he plays, he's going to give it 110%.
I love Danzo.
It's a different story. But
I think he's.
You want them players.
Do you know what? Danzo is very underrated, right? Because every time I've watched him, he's so competent on the ball. We can bring the ball out, which I didn't think he could do, right? And I've seen him bring out the ball quite a few times last year. And I just think he's one of those old school defenders. You can rely on him. And he's fantastic in the air, and all right, there's certain weaknesses to his game, but they're not a lot of weaknesses. More of his strengths that you need in the Premiership, especially the heading ability. Because so many other the lower teams, they rely on their set pieces, right? And if you're not up to scratch with that, and look, Van de Ven doesn't head for money, does he? He's not very good in the air. Romero's competent, but Danzo, he's the one that stands out. Aerially, he's fantastic. And
you'll get a 7 out of 10 out of him in most games, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Majority of games. That's why I say over a season. Solid. If you was to add up the points for every game, I think you'll have Danzo having a more solid season than Romero. Because Romero will have 2-3 games where he's a 9, and then he'll have 2-3 games where he's a 3, and then he'll have another few games where he's a 7 or a 6. He's a very up and down player. That is why I ain't as keen on him as a lot of others are. Whereas Danzo, you will get round about a 7 every game, basically, with maybe a 6 here and a 9 there, sort of thing.
Agreed. I mean, like you said, I think one of the things we've got to look at as well, like we were saying about players going who will be shocked, as we saw, and I'm using very extreme cases here, obviously the ones that are known. Coutinho was used to finance 2 players that revolutionised Liverpool. Manchester United with Ferguson, when they've got rid of Van Nistelrooy, Jaap Stam, or whoever it may be, because either they stepped out of line, but it's like, right, you've gone to Stour, we need to move on. There are going to be players that leave Spurs. Whether you like it or not, obviously we've all gone about how we haven't brought fees in and we let players go Stour. If this is the new way Spurs are moving, we're going to have to get rid of an offset with players that people even love. We've all said, I'm done with sentimentality. If you can upgrade a player, you upgrade him. That's what you want. So if that means players like this have come in, look how badly we used the Bale money.
I know.
Look how bad that was. If someone had said to me, let's just say for shits and giggles, first one, let's just say Kulusevski left now. I'm just picking Kulusevski because obviously he's injured. He's hot and cold at times. He had a great start to the season.
A lot of people like him.
If we lost to Kulusevski, if someone said to people, right, Kulusevski's going to leave this summer, before this happened, you're going to lose Kulusevski this summer. Forget that he's injured, but you're going to get Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White in exchange. I'm taking that deal every single goddamn day.
See
you
later.
Think about it. It's like, done, bye, see ya. Whoever it may be. If it had been Madison goes, but you get Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White. See ya, goodbye, ta-da. This is what we wanted. Spurs bringing in big players, fresh players. That will have to be offset with some big players going. That could be Richarlison. I think Richarlison will be gone. Yes, he's not a big, as in a massive star player at Spurs, but we are going to lose. The sentimentality part has got to go. And this is the evolution of what we want and how we see big teams do it. Don't we? Where other teams have a player that doesn't set the world alight within 2 years. Bang, see you later. You haven't got the job done. We're moving on. We're going to bring in fresh blood. This is what we've wanted. So if big players do go, it's part and parcel, but this is what Frank wants to have done. This is what Frank wants to see. And I am fully in for Frank anyway. But if this is what Spurs need to do to get big players in like this, bring it on.
Bring it, guys. Can I ask?
I mean, Ben, I'll come to you in one quick. It's all right, mate. I mean, I felt this fan base, one of its biggest problems is it has just been too sentimental for a fucking long time. And the one I always use is the example of Son. I still say we should have sold him 2 years ago, but so many people would still quite happily give him another 2 years on his contract because he's Heung-Min Son. I'm sorry, I don't care. I don't support Son. I support Spurs. Once you're not good enough or once you're on the way down, I don't care how great you've been or what you've done for the club. See you later. I'll even make a special game for you before you go. You know what? I'll make a coin for you as well or something. But see you later. You ain't up there anymore. And that is what the big clubs have always done. Yeah, our fan base says they want us to get the big players, this and that, but then still stick sentimental with players like Son. It's just an opinion on that one. Go on, Ben, with what you're going to say.
You're on mute, bro.
Yep, so sorry about that. No, Dan, I completely agree with what you just said, mate. But no, this question's, and again, I apologise because I'm late for the show. Look, I've got a lot of pals that are banging their football, and I've got a couple of friends of mine that are Nottingham Forest fans. Now they say to me, I remember asking a few years back or a year ago, where do you see Morgan Gibbs-White going? And they are convinced he's going right to the very top. They said he will be in the coming seasons Manchester City worthy. Now, obviously, to me, I was a little bit like, I'm not too sure. But the question I wanted to ask you guys, and I apologise if you've already gone over this, is where does he stack up to, like, let's say, an Eze, in your guys' opinion?
He's right on par for me.
Okay.
I've wanted Eze and Morgan Gibbs-White for 4 years. Yes. I've watched. Dan will know because I've said it many a time. When we beat Wolves 3-2, years ago, people remember the game because one Foyth gave away 2 penalties. There was a player on the pitch that destroyed us, and that kid was a 17-year-old Morgan Gibbs-White. Ever since then, I was like, love him. When he went to Forest, and I was on We Are Tottenham TV, and it was the one where Richarlison did the kick-ups in his first season, and I was asked, who is the danger man for Nottingham Forest? It's Morgan Gibbs-White.
Mm-hmm.
He honestly, this signing is right up there with Eze for me, and I adore Morgan Gibbs-White. I honestly, this season,
You've been saying it since I've known you on here.
Yeah, I have. I'm
Thomas Frank as well.
buzzing. Yeah,
Along with Thomas Frank as well.
Lightning
God,
does
so you
twice.
are.
Lightning
you're
does strike
balanced.
twice.
You believe Eze is the same. Well, you believe Morgan Gibbs-White is the same level as Eze in your mind, yeah?
For me, for what he can bring to the team, obviously Eze's more skillful and take on player more exciting. But what Morgan Gibbs-White does for the team, and his ceiling and everything, this signing for me is right up there with him. I think they both stand out with different attributes and stack up differently on so like going past a man with pure unrivaled skill and showboat Eze's night and day. But when it comes to work rate, carrying the ball, teamwork, Morgan Gibbs-White eclipses it. For me, the 2 top signings I wanted this summer, one of these 2, if not both, and I've got one of them. I am absolutely 50 billion shades of ecstatic.
That's brilliant, mate. What would you say
would be
Gibbs-White's
as soon as I
best
saw it?
attributes are?
The first thing I thought of, Brian, as soon as I saw it, was you.
Mate, the messages I got,
you straight away.
mate, it happened literally 30 seconds after Tottenham Hotspur finished the stream. And all of a sudden, my phone just went ballistic. And I was like, okay, yeah, Ornstein's done it. But the way and the speed that this has gone is just nothing like Tottenham Hotspur have ever done.
Brian, me and you have got something in common, right? Morgan Gibbs-White gets... Actually, me, you and Lubo, right? Lubo for Archie Gray, right? Me for Højbjerg, and you for Morgan Gibbs-White. Everybody knew that as soon as it broke, I just thought of you, Brian.
Damn right, mate.
Man.
Honestly, listen. When you go on about a player for so long, like if an Italian player came in and had been waxing lyrical about, or someone, whoever it is, and not just for me or whatever, for any team that you support, if you keep mentioning this player's name and keep saying, I really want him, I think when it happens, obviously, your immediate thought, I'm just, honestly, I'm still in disbelief the Spurs have A, got it done so quickly, B, done it straight after Kudus, C, spent the money immediately, just release fee, okay, we'll meet it. I didn't even know there was a release fee in his contract until it all started breaking. The way this has been handled, and we've all gone on about Johan Lang and what does he do and whatever, and he's moved in the shadows, and it's been for players that come in like an Archie Gray, like a Bergvall, like the youngsters that have been coming through. My God, has he kept this quiet? And my God, have Spurs reeled in a big fish by keeping it quiet?
Yeah, I mean, you do think how did they keep that quiet? Because I don't think anybody in football saw that one coming.
Nope.
I mean, if you're going to put, I'd say Eze's the bigger player as such, got more of a name for himself as such. But if you go by quality, two different players, isn't it, really, to work out with each other. They've both got similarities, but they've both got very different capabilities. They've got very different capabilities as such. Like I said, for 60 mil, I think there's other players you could go out there and get, but he just matches everything about Spurs and also other bits that we need, doesn't he? And we've obviously been willing. It actually feels good that we've. I mean, for me, Kudus at 55 million, I thought was a bit of a steal in its own way, in the aspect of just your average everyday player costs 40 mil, 45 mil these days, and I'd say he's better than average. He's good. And then 60 million for Morgan Gibbs-White, and also the fact that he's English, homegrown, and everything else. You sit here and start weighing it up. You think that's not a bad price by the modern day economy, is it?
No.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But I liken Kudos more to Eze, right? Because he's sort of that maverick type of player. But I think Eze has got a little edge on both of them in terms of. I've seen a lot of Eze because obviously my husband's a QPR fan, so I saw him when he was younger at QPR as well. When he stood out like a sore thumb, right? Because he just oozes class. When he gets the ball, he makes time for himself, right? And he's so calm on the ball. I like his style, but a lot of managers they see. This is what I think. Right, a lot of managers think that he's a risk because he's that sort of maverick player who he doesn't get stuck in. He's like a classy player who'll turn it on, and he can turn it on with 20 seconds, and he can win a game for you. You know, just like that. Like when we played them, we actually beat them, but he scored a fabulous free kick, right, against us. And when I watch him, I just think he uses class. When I watch Kudos, I think he's a maverick player as well, but he doesn't ooze class.
I think he's more of a flair player than Eze is.
Yeah. Whereas Morgan Gibbs-White, he's similar, right, but he's more of like an engine. Dynamic player who gets forward really quickly. Like Brian said, he's like a number 8. He's not like an Eze who's a number 10, but he's got elements of his game that are very, very spectacular, you know, especially when he runs forward with the ball. Fabulous.
It's just
Kudos, to be fair, is statistically the best dribbler in the league.
correct.
Kudos, yeah.
Yeah, he's completed 200 dribbles since the start of last year, I believe.
And isn't it just good to see a player at Spurs that's actually got a bit of flair? I mean, you don't even see much of that in football anymore, do you? I mean, flair is an old school thing. I mean, when I talk of flair, I talk about players like Figo.
Correct.
Players like Roberto Baggio, back at them. I talk about players like Ronaldinho, and it goes on there. You don't really get many flair players anymore. It seems to be a way that a lot of teams, that football itself doesn't really like playing with anymore, unless you're maybe Real Madrid or Barcelona, basically. And
PSG now.
Yeah, and PSG. I didn't think of them once at their point.
Wicked.
But apart from that, you don't really see. I mean, Man City don't really play with flair players, do they? I'm not saying they don't play with bloody good players, but I wouldn't say they play with players who are flair as such, like a Figo used to be.
No, they don't.
I'm actually quite excited to have a player like that at Spurs.
Yeah, he'll get bums off the seats, won't he?
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, if you think about it, he's one player, the one style of player that we've been missing. I mean, the way I describe Kudos is he's a problem player, and moreover, I believe he's a low block specialist, because the thing is, when Kudos is on the ball, he is going to cause you huge issues, you know, and that'll probably bring out a second defender to him, make more space for the rest of our boys. He's something we've missed since, I don't know, like an Aaron Lennon style. You know, he might not have.
He's something we've missed since Bale. He'll take on 2 or 3 people. He'll try his shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we need that. When you've got a low block like we come up against quite often, it's nice to have that in your locker because it frees up space, you know. So
I'm just going to share my screen just very quickly, because remember this was at Brentford when he didn't have players of that we've already got, plus now Kudos and Morgan Gibbs-White. This was Thomas Frank at Brentford. Does that come up?
No.
Not yet.
Why has it not come up? Why has it not come up? 1 second, let's try it again.
I think
There it is. There it is. Look.
Yeah.
So
Just added it to stage.
this is XG per shot is first in the Premier League. Shooting accuracy, Frank was first in the league. Conversion rate, he's first in the league. Goals per shot, he's first in the league.
Brilliant.
And then adding the ammunition of Kudos, the skill and everything that Morgan, and flair and creativity that Gibbs-White will bring, and then obviously Maddison. With these type of players playing in a Frank system, if he's doing that at Brentford, I'll stop sharing my screen now. You've got to be excited. This is what he does, and that's what he was doing at Brentford. And we keep saying, he had Sharp and Buemo, Vissa, and Sade. Well, now look at it. Now look at this team taking shape.
I'm just excited to see our players take on players, because all we saw under Ange, right, is we get it there, right, and then it's back sideways, back to the wing. The winger don't take on his man, back to Porro, and then Porro would put in a good cross because he can bloody cross the ball, right? And I was so frustrated seeing that week in, week out, right? And it was demoralising. I was screaming at my telly, and my husband had to tell me to pipe down. And I'm a hard lady to pipe down.
I can imagine.
Honestly, I was screaming
bit
my
of a
head off.
controller, are you,
So
Elly?
frustrating. It's
Bit of a controller, are you?
Because I've got a mouth on me.
No shit, Sherlock. I know that one.
I come from a family of mouthy people.
Of course you do, and there's nothing wrong with having the gob on you when you know it, and when you can give it and hold your ground. Nothing wrong with that at all. Just some people can't handle that shit. That's their problem.
It's true.
Not yours,
it's
not mine,
true.
whatever.
Thank you, Dan.
Last, I'm going to come on this because I need to go have my dinner because my wife's just come through the door, and I probably want to go on a bit later as well. So to do that, I'm going to have to go and order a Chinese or something.
Yeah, good idea.
Last say on it, I must admit, like I said, I'm not going to say I'm stupidly excited by what's happened, but fucking hell, am I taken back and impressed? And okay, let's see where we go now. I'm now actually not just interested in next season. I've now gone up a level, and I'm very looking forward to next season. Go get me another good established player in now, and then I might start getting excited. You three.
I'll go last. Go on, Ben.
I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. I'm not the rest of us. I'm not. I really, honestly, like, Sam was like, "Oh, jump on," and I'm thinking, I'm so like backed up with what is going on. I can't think. No, look, listen. Two in and about £60 million signings in one window is a statement of intent, and I'm so excited for the future. And listen, if we sign other people, fantastic. But right now we have two very talented players joining the roster, and two players that we needed. These aren't paid filler players. We needed these type of players. So for me, I couldn't be happier, mate. I am blown away.
Yeah, I'm with you. Right, because it's very Spursy like to do this, right? Because we're not used to it. Right, so it's shocked us all. Like when I saw it, I thought, what? And then it's a done deal. Within 10 minutes of seeing it, I've seen Romero saying it's a done deal, and it sort of takes you aback. But what I would like to see now is solidify the defence as well. All right, because we've got our two maverick players who could take the ball and really get at defences. With Kudos with his fantastic dribbling, and Morgan White's with his driving and his tenacity, right, and his skill, right. So I just want us to get. I like to see a monster number 6. I'm old school. I always liked when Graham Roberts played in that number 6 role. Brilliant. And Roy Keane, come on.
Roy Keane's my favourite all-time player, and that's not necessarily for his skill. That was just because of him, the way he was, the way he is. When I played as DM, I pictured him and played like him, just probably a lot dirtier.
Yeah. So I really want to get that number. If we get that monster number 6, I'll be so happy, because I know that we're going to have protection. Because Morgan Gibbs-White will get forward, Kudos will get forward. He'll terrorise defences. So I'm excited. I'm shocked as well. I'm going to go and have a lie down and probably watch Love Island. That's my day done. You know what I mean?
No,
please,
I have to watch it because my daughter watches it.
Oh mate,
whatever.
That is one fucking terrible program. That is awful. I would rather go to bed Elly, no, I ain't having it. I don't
No,
care.
I'm not saying
No,
it's a good programme.
no,
I have
it's
to watch
not.
it.
You don't
It's
have to,
horrendous.
Ellie. You don't have to. I'm sure there's other TVs in your house.
Yeah,
Or
100%.
I'm sure
No, what
your
I'm normally
daughter's
doing-
not put a gun to your head and said, "You watch this."
This
You
is what
watch
I do,
this.
right? It's on, right? But I usually watch in Sabah at that time. Much more interesting.
You know, I mean, I'd rather go to bed with the missus and go and do a binge on Game of Thrones for about the 6th time.
Thank God you said Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
I thought your analogy were about to peak.
Oh yeah, but Brian, who said
Game of
anything?
Thrones.
Who said anything about not acting Game
I,
of Thrones?
I wish I hadn't said anything.
I'm more like
Get the dragons out.
I'm more like
Me in
the
my mouth.
Sopranos.
Me in my mouth.
I like The Sopranos and I like Squid Games and I liked Breaking Bad. All those programs.
No, Breaking Bad is quality.
I'm more of a
Breaking
fella
Bad
than
is
a
quality.
woman.
No,
The
the last
gentleman.
thing I say on that, Nelly, the one I've had to put up with over the past. I mean, this is where it's always been lucky at my place. Like me and my wife, we've got our own. She does her shit, I do mine. Like, if I want to, I'll just go to the bedroom, play my PlayStation, or watch my film there. When it comes to bedtime, we end up watching something, and we sort of take turns who's got control of the telly. And she's been watching this thing with this doctor. He's a young doctor fella. I don't really know how to describe him. How do I put this? Let's just say he's unique, I think is the word I can think for.
It's not House, is it?
It might be. Where's a young fella and he builds his way up in the hospital?
Good doctor.
He's not a young fella, House. Oh, okay.
No, good doctor.
Top show.
Good doctor.
I think unique was the good way to portray
I watched
it. Yeah.
2 episodes of that. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, my wife absolutely loved it and binged the whole thing, and I just ended up sort of
Top show.
When it comes to anything, bar season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones, that's the best one I've watched. So, last I say of it, then I take it everyone on here is a very happy person, and Brian, you're ecstatic,
Mate, lightning strikes twice. If a third one happens with Levy leaving, I've completed life. I just need to say, right, that's it. I've peaked. Ta-da. Lightning strikes 3 times. That's my 3 wishes. I'm out.
If this is what we're going to do now with Levy, then let him stay.
No, mate, there's definitely. Listen, I'm not going to get into a Levy discussion right now.
No, yeah,
All I will say, there has to be something going on in the background that will be alerted to be late. There's just no way Spurs activate a 60 million transfer release fee after shelling out 55 million. And start moving the way we do with a reshuffle of the board, a manager and a whole new coaching team.
That is someone else's money we're spending.
Yeah, without a doubt. But listen, if that's what it takes,
couldn't care less.
Thomas, Frank, Thomas, Frank, and hello. He's Morgan Gibbs White. Hello, mate. This season, forget the anger, Brian. People are going to be, oh my God, Brian is absolute delirious, and I'm all for it. I'm all for delirious statement.
It's going to be good to see, and hopefully we can have a season coming up where we can actually look forward to the fucking games again. So, thanks for you lot for coming on. It's appreciated.
Thanks
for everyone who's been watched. I do understand that what just happened here basically totally fucked up my entire show, because me and Elly were going to have a good show. I thought, right, I'll squeeze that in the corner of that one and that one. No one else is on. And then literally as we came on, Morgan Gibbs White gets dropped like that, and you're just like, for fuck's sake, man. But either way, thank you very much, everyone. It's appreciated. Have a good evening. I'll see you later.
See you later, come Spurs. Come on.
Baked potato.
I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down.